Welcome to the first lesson. In this section of the course, I'll be covering the two ways to install Sass. Right now, let me show you the command line method. To work properly, you need to have Ruby installed. If you're using Windows, then head over to rubyinstaller.org, download it, and install just like any other Windows application. If you're using macOS, however, as I'm doing, Ruby comes pre-installed. So, fire up your terminal. You can find it in the Utilities folder. And you need to type gem install Sass. Now, this will take a moment. Ruby uses gems to manage its various code packages, so that's why you gotta type it like this. If it gives you an error like this with insufficient permissions, then you need to type sudo gem install Sass. This basically means that you're using the admin mode, and it's going to ask you for your password. Enter your password, and now it's installing Sass. Alright, and once that's done, you can type sass-v to find the Sass version. In my case, it's Sass 3.2.14. And that's it basically. That's how you install Sass from the command line. Some people say that this is the hardest method, but it's not really. Just a few lines of code in the terminal and you're all set. Something a bit harder is probably the compiling process, which takes a bit more work. So here's how you do it. First of all, I have a folder on my desktop. It's called testing. And inside, I'm going to place a Sass file and then compile it to CSS. So in my code editor, I'm going to do a new file. Let's call it input.scss. This is the newest extension for the Sass files. I'm just going to say body, something like background color. Let's set this to red, for example. Okay, we're going to save this, and we're going to go back to the terminal, and we're going to say something like this. First of all, we need to go to that folder. So we're going to do cd desktop. CD basically means change directory. Let me just clear this. And then cd testing. So now I'm in the testing directory, just as you can see right here. So once that's done, I can do sass input.scss space output.css. And this represents the output file I want to use. Hit enter. And as you can see, an output.css file was created. And this is the result. So if I change this again, let's add some margin to ems, save. This is not automatically rendered. I need to go back to the terminal and redo this command. And now the output is redone. Now, if you're constantly making changes to the Sass file, it's kind of tedious to just go back and forth to the terminal and run that command over and over again. So what you can do is you can watch a specific file for changes. So going back to the terminal, you can do this sass --watch input.scss semicolon output.css. Okay, so now it says Sass is watching for changes. So whenever I change this input.scss file, let's say we add some padding here, save that, the terminal says overwrite output CSS. Change detected, and now the output CSS is changed. You can also watch entire folders. So for example, I'm going to hit Ctrl+C here to stop watching that file. And let's say you have the Sass files in a folder called Sass, and you want to output them in a folder called Style Sheets. Well, you can do this, Sass watch Sass, style sheets. Of course, I don't have a Sass directory here, so it's going to give me an error, but you get the idea. If you ever need to pull up a help file, you can do this. Sass --help. And this will give you, let me just resize this for a moment. This will give you pretty much all the options you can use in Sass. So that's how you install and use Sass from the command line. If you prefer a more visual approach, there are lots of applications that will make your life easier. More about that in the next lesson.